Tuesday, February 17, 2026, AGNDD intelliReport topic. Robert Duvall dies at 95. Please pardon any visual and informational inaccuracies in this partially AI-generated article-based video. Robert Duvall, a chameleon of an actor on screen and on stage, dies at 95. An Oscar winner, he was known for disappearing into wide-ranging roles in movies like Apocalypse Now and The Godfather, and in the television series Lonesome Dove. By Clyde Haberman, New York Times, February 16, 2026. Robert Duvall, who drew from a seemingly bottomless reservoir of acting craftsmanship to transform himself into a business-focused mafia lawyer, a faded country singer, a cynical police detective, a bullying Marine pilot, a surfing-obsessed Vietnam commander, a mysterious Southern recluse, and scores of other film, stage, and television characters, died on Sunday. He was 95. His death was announced in a statement by his wife, Luciana Duvall, who said he had died at home. She gave no other details. He had long lived on a sprawling horse farm in the plains in Fauquier County, VA, west of Washington. Mr. Duvall's singular trait was to immerse himself in roles so deeply that he seemed to almost disappear into them, an ability that was uncanny, even creepy the first time it was witnessed, said Bruce Beresford, the Australian who directed him in the 1983 film Tender Mercies. In that film, Mr. Duvall played Max Sledge, a boozy, washed-up country star who comes to terms with life through marriage to a widow with a young son. The performance earned him an Academy Award for Best Actor, his sole Oscar in a career that brought him 6 other nominations in both leading and supporting roles. "He is the character," Mr. Beresford said of Sledge. "He's not Duvall at all." Mr. Duvall, though, wasn't buying it. "What do you mean?" he said in an interview with the New York Times in 1989. "I don't become the character. It's still me, doing myself, altered." Audiences and reviewers remained unconvinced. For them, Mr. Duvall, with a voice far from silky and features falling more than a few degrees short of movie star handsome, effectively became someone entirely new time and again. Across a film career that took flight in the early 1960s, he stood out for an intense studiousness that shaped his every role. Even as a boy, in a Navy family that moved around the country, he had an ear for people's speech patterns and an eye for their mannerisms. "I hang around a guy's memories," he once said. Insights that he gleaned were routinely tucked away in his head for potential future use. To prepare for the role of Max Sledge, he sang with a country band and drove around East Texas with a friend who finally had to ask what they were up to. "We're looking for accents," Mr. Duvall said. On similar hunts, he hung out with assorted and sordid types. He befriended hoodlums in East Harlem while preparing for a role that would help make him a star, that of Tom Hagen, the sensible consigliere to the Corleone crime family in Francis Ford Coppola's first 2 Godfather movies in the early 1970s. He palled with police detectives before playing a hard-bitten investigator in True Confessions, 1981. To prepare for one of his signature stage roles, as the hustler Teach in the original 1977 Broadway production of David Mamet's American Buffalo, he spent time with an ex-convict, taking from him the idea of carrying his gun over his genitals. He did similar immersions for other notable roles, whether as Lieutenant Colonel Bull Meacham, the frustrated warrior without a war, except within his own family, in The Great Santini, 1979. Or Frank Hackett, the aptly named Hatchet Man executive in Network, 1976, Paddy Chayefsky's scalding take on television news. Or Lieutenant Colonel Bill Kilgore, who loved the smell of napalm in the morning in Mr. Coppola's Apocalypse Now, 1979. For years, Mr. Duvall told interviewers people would routinely come up to him and recite that line as if it were some little secret known only to him and them. The American Olivier. His chameleon-like skill invited comparisons to the incomparable Laurence Olivier. Indeed, in 1980, Vincent Canby of the Times flat out called him the American Olivier. A similar sentiment was expressed earlier by Herbert Ross, who directed The 7% Solution, 1976, in which Mr. Duvall, barely recognizable yet again, played Dr. John Watson to Nicole Williamson's Sherlock Holmes. Olivier himself played Holmes's arch-nemesis, Professor James Moriarty, in the movie. Only Mr. Duvall and George C. Scott, Mr. Ross said at the time, have the range and variety of Laurence Olivier. That Mr. Duvall could become practically whomever he chose was foreshadowed in his first film, To Kill a Mockingbird, a 1962 classic based on Harper Lee's novel about racial prejudice in a southern town. He played Boo Radley, the reclusive, hollow-eyed neighbor who fascinates and ultimately rescues the two small children of the defense lawyer Atticus Finch, Gregory Peck. As Mr. Duvall's career flourished in the 1970s and 80s, it surprised many of his fans, on looking back, to discover him in that film. One person apparently not surprised was Harper Lee. When Mr. Duvall landed the part, she sent him a congratulatory telegram. "Hey, Boo," she wrote. It was, he said later, his only contact with her. Mr. Duvall had his own favorite role, and it was none of his major big-screen characters. He repeatedly told interviewers that his heart was fully with Augustus McCrae, an old Texas Ranger on a cattle drive in Lonesome Dove, a 1989 CBS television miniseries based on a Larry McMurtry novel. "Let the English play Hamlet and King Lear," Mr. Duvall said, "and I will play Augustus McCrae, a great character in literature." He was nominated for an Emmy Award for that performance, but he waited nearly 2 decades for an Emmy win, for a role with echoes of Gus McCrae, the worn-out cowboy Prentice Ritter in Broken Trail, 2006, a 2-part AMC movie. As an executive producer on the show, he also won an Emmy for Outstanding Miniseries. Mr. Duvall tried his hand at film directing a few times, usually putting up the money for projects that intrigued him. There was We're Not the Jet Set, 1977, a documentary about a Nebraska rodeo family. A Chance Encounter with a Boy on the Street led to Angelo, My Love, 1983, a film about gypsy life in New York City. No project under his direction contained more of his soul than The Apostle, 1997, which he also wrote, financed, and starred in. He played Sonny Dewey, a wayward Pentecostal preacher in search of redemption, and received another Oscar nomination. Mr. Duvall was generally wary of directors, and some of them found him difficult to work with. He fought bitterly on the set with Henry Hathaway, who directed him alongside John Wayne in the original True Grit, 1969. "I don't try to be a hard guy to work with," Mr. Duvall said in a 1981 interview with American Film magazine. "But I decide what I'm going to do with a character. I will take direction, but only if it kind of supplements what I want to do. If I have instincts that I feel are right, I don't want anybody to tamper with them. I don't like tamperers, and I don't like hoverers." Not all directors irritated him. He liked working with Ulu Grossbard, who guided him in True Confessions, as well as on stage in an early Duvall triumph, as the tormented longshoreman Eddie Carbone in a 1965 off-Broadway production of Arthur Miller's A View from the Bridge, and later in Mr. Mamet's American Buffalo. Once his film career kicked into high gear, Mr. Duvall did not return often to the theater, but he described his occasional stage work as an investment in the long run. It makes you a better actor. And then there was Mr. Coppola, who as much as anyone put Mr. Duvall on the Hollywood map. "Coppola made them so beautifully," the actor said of the first 2 Godfather films. His admiration did not stretch far enough, however, to impel him to recreate the role of Tom Hagen for The Godfather Part 3, 1990, a pale sequel, most reviewers agreed. "It boiled down to money," he told Esquire magazine in 2010. "If you're going to pay Pacino twice what you pay me, fine, but 5 times? Come on, guys." Early TV roles. Robert Selden Duvall was born on January 5, 1931, in San Diego, the second of 3 sons of William Duvall, a rear admiral, and Mildred Hart Duvall, an amateur actress said to have been a relative of the Confederate General Robert E. Lee. The father's naval career meant that the family moved around a lot. Robert found his way into acting while at Principia College, a small liberal arts school in southwestern Illinois, a career choice shaped in large measure, he once said, by a realization that he was terrible at everything else. After 2 years in the Army, serving principally at what is now Fort Gordon in Georgia, he went to New York in 1955, where he studied under Sanford Meisner at the neighborhood playhouse. Two of his closest friends, Dustin Hoffman and Gene Hackman, were fellow acting students. To support himself, Mr. Duvall worked for a while in a post office branch. But soon enough, television roles fell his way on shows like Playhouse 90, Naked City, and Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Then came the invitation to play Boo Radley. Throughout his career, Mr. Duvall tried to keep Hollywood at arm's length. He preferred living elsewhere, for many years on the Northern Virginia ranch with his fourth wife, the former Luciana Pedraza, an Argentine woman 41 years his junior. They met in the 1990s in Buenos Aires, which he visited often after developing a passion for the tango. Complete information about his survivors was not immediately available. He was a Hollywood outlier on another front: politics. He was an ardent conservative, strongly supporting Republican presidential candidates in a film world dominated by political liberals. In 2005, President George W. Bush awarded him a National Medal of Arts. Mr. Duvall, however, was not conspicuously a supporter of President Trump. As the years passed, major roles fell Mr. Duvall's way less frequently, or perhaps he sought them less. All the same, he still commanded meaty parts, which he imbued with characteristic intelligence, whether as an engagingly irascible editor in The Paper, 1994, or a sensitive small-town doctor in Phenomenon, 1996, or a retired astronaut brought back to duty to rescue a world threatened by a giant comet in Deep Impact, 1998, or a diligent lawyer in A Civil Action, 1998, or an understanding bartender ministering to a boozing country singer in Crazy Heart, 2009. One of his last major roles in 2014 was in The Judge, in which he played an aging jurist in a small town who is accused of murder. From early on, Mr. Duvall enjoyed the life of a supporting actor. Somebody once said that the best life in the world is the life of a second leading man, Mr. Duvall told The Times. You travel, you get a per diem, and you've probably got a better part anyway. And you don't have the weight of the entire movie on your shoulders. A version of this article appears in print on February 17, 2026, Section A, page 1 of the New York edition with the headline, Robert Duvall, 95, Protean star amid mafia and napalm dies. Comments. Haywood Floyd, NYC, 7 hours ago. His best line in Apocalypse Now is not "smells like victory," it comes right after that, the end of the soliloquy. Someday this war's gonna end. He's actually disappointed by that fact. A potential throwaway line on the page delivered with brilliant artistry and subtext. Mike, Lonesome Dove, Texas, 7 hours ago. Well, I got to admit I still like a fight, Augustus said. They sharpen the wits. The only other thing that does that is talking to women, which is usually more dangerous. A unique actor who brought life to everything he did. Rip, old guy, you lived the life any of us mere mortals would wish. Hope to see you down the trail. George, North Carolina, 7 hours ago. I will watch Open Range whenever it appears, just to see him inhabit Bluebonnet Boss Spearman. And I was astonished by his near-silent role in the spare film, Tomorrow. A chameleon indeed, another giant is gone. Marathon Girl, Michigan, February 16th. This Oscars ceremony in memoriam tribute is going to be one of the saddest in a long time. Hackman, Redford, Keaton, Reiner, Bardot, now Duvall. For those of us over a certain age, the deaths of these screen icons, Reiner's tragic death of course being the exception as he and his wife weren't in ill health or very old, is heartbreaking. We've loved and admired these folks for years, but like us, they too have been aging. An end of an era? You bet. Excuse me while I cry for a while. Kevin, expat, London, February 16. Well, let me tell you something, my Krautmik friend. You were an all-time great. Rest in peace. Marge Keller, Midwest, February 16th. Because of Mr. Duvall's age, I have been dreading this news for a while now, never hoping to read of his passing. I was not shocked when I saw the headline, but deeply saddened. I loved this man. I loved everything about him, his eclectic and chameleon-like skill and talent, the sound of his voice, his sexy wink and demeanor, that little wicked laugh of his sheer talent. I never forgot the first time I saw him. He said nothing, but his look and gentle nature said it all. He was Boo Bradley in Mockingbird. When the bedroom door opened and he was surprised to have been discovered, he didn't scare me. I felt his protectiveness through the screen because of his tender and soft eyes. I feel like I have lost a long and dear friend. My heart is breaking and will not mend for a while. He was truly a Hollywood treasure in every sense of the word, such a huge loss on so many levels. Profound condolences to his loved ones, colleagues, friends, and millions of fans. You will be deeply missed, my dear. Jan Ewell, Anywhere and Everywhere, February 16th. Any role he played, you believed him in it? Is there no greater achievement for an actor? Stewart, Chicago, February 16th. A few years back, Duvall and his wife were sitting behind me at a restaurant. I couldn't resist interrupting his lunch to tell him he was my favorite actor and that I thought Lonesome Dove was his best work. He couldn't have been nicer in taking the time to talk with me. He agreed with my assessment, and we talked about directors and filmmaking. I am not usually starstruck, but after talking with him, I was. He will be truly missed in our entertainment culture. Abbott Hall, Westfield, New Jersey, February 16th. Lonesome Dove has to be one of the greatest television series ever, and his Augustus McCrae is an unforgettable character. Loved True Confessions also. Well done, Bob Duvall. Howard G. The Burbs, February 16th. No project under his direction contained more of his soul than The Apostle, 1997, which he also wrote, financed, and starred in. He played Sonny Dewey, a wayward Pentecostal preacher in search of redemption, and received another Oscar nomination. Of all Robert Duvall's films, this is the one which moved and touched me the most. The investment of his soul was obvious throughout the movie, and he was able to elicit the best acting performance of her career from Farrah Fawcett. There is nothing left to say except the expression of our sincere gratitude, love, and respect to Mr. Duvall for the tremendous legacy he leaves behind for us and for future lovers of great film to appreciate. Thank you, Mr. Duvall. We will remember you at Howard G., a freeborn man of the USA Hudson Valley, at Howard G. I remember walking out of that movie, the plot of which has not really stayed with me, in utter astonishment at his performance. One of the greatest I've ever seen. And at the other end of the spectrum from his subtle work as Tom Hagen, when he utilized a facial expression here, a verbal emphasis there, to create a fully realized character. What an artist. Rest well with our lasting gratitude. At Howard G., Bridgman, NY. At Howard G., thanks so much for bringing up The Apostle. I, too, was blown away by Duvall's performance, and Fawcett's as well. She truly rose to the occasion. After The Apostle, well, I was not much older than Scout when I saw To Kill a Mockingbird. My beloved great-aunt Gert took me, and the two of us, each at opposite points of our lives, were enthralled. I can still smell her sweet perfume and feel her soft skin as we held hands throughout the picture. Boo took up residence in my heart that long-ago day and has never left. JRS, Massachusetts, February 16th. The end of an era. I will never forget the first time I saw The Great Santini, a masterpiece that was simultaneously an uncomfortable, beautiful and poignant work of art. R.I.P. Mr. Duvall. Cat A, Vancouver, Washington, February 16. I will always think of Duvall as August McCrae in Lonesome Dove. I am still in love with him. One of the top actors of the last century, and a great tango dancer, R.I.P. Robert Duvall. John, Pennsylvania, February 16th. His best role, Gus McCrae in Lonesome Dove. the kind of man other men want to be, the kind of man women want to be with. Ike, Normal, USA, February 16th. Wow, I literally watched both Godfather movies with my kids this weekend. A 20 and 15-year-old that said they never saw anything like it. That this legend acted in my lifetime was a privilege. I hope he set an example for today's generation of how passion and artistic display can speak to generations in a timeless manner. R.I.P. Bobby D. George, Virginia, February 16th. Mr. Duvall was invited to my small town's elementary school when the school held a Lonesome Dove Day, 1989. He agreed to drive down the 4 hours it takes to get there from his Northern Virginia home and spend the day with the kids as long as no newspaper press or media was informed beforehand. Imagine being in the 5th grade in a small town and your TV cowboy hero just walks in. The point being, he was clearly a decent, humble man who enjoyed spending time with some little Lonesome Dove fans. Marge Keller, Midwest, February 16th. On the passing of Robert Duvall, this isn't business, Sonny, this is strictly personal. Nell Engeron, Northern California, February 16th. I've loved Robert Duvall ever since watching him as Boo Radley in To Kill a Mockingbird, which I saw as a young girl growing up in the 1960s South. Coincidentally, I looked quite like Scout. The delicacy of his performance in that much-loved film, still the greatest ever about what it feels like to be a child, had an immediate and long-lasting impact on me, a child prone to great fear. Portraying a terrifying monster who turns out to be a gentle-hearted savior damaged by life, Duvall as Boo taught me that people aren't to be feared, but understood, and he accomplished this in a brief, silent performance. It was one of the first and best lessons in humanity I ever received, and it sticks with me over 60 years later. Jazz Montana, Bozeman, February 16th. An absolute genius of an actor. The role which I will always remember Duvall for was the washed-up country star finding redemption with a widow and her son in Tender Mercies. In this role, Duvall was human and vulnerable, especially when he sang at his daughter's funeral. T.D. Bradley, Connecticut, February 16th. Fresh out of journalism school, I picked up a freelance job, a phone interview for the cable TV premiere of Apocalypse Now with Robert Duvall. My first movie star interview turned out to be my last, too. The publicist called me with a number and a time, warning me not to waste Mr. Duvall's time. My stomach in knots, I called. It was without a doubt the best time I ever spent with a stranger in my life. He told dazzling stories, joked about former co-stars, especially Brando, and occasionally interrupted to bark at or hug one of the nieces or nephews he was babysitting that evening. He asked about me, about my plans for the future. At one point, I started to say goodbye, having exceeded the publicist's time limit. "Oh, the hell with that," he said. "Never listen to them. Besides, it's a good chat, isn't it?" It was indeed. I loved his performances, each as good as acting gets. But I loved the guy, too. Just after one 45-minute phone call, he was one of our best, in every way. Brad Walden, Sacramento, California, February 16th. All the films I ever saw him in, he was always a strong, believable character, good guy or bad. Never played a bad role in my book. R.I.P. Robert, you were one of a kind. Ben, Long Island, February 16th. Goodbye, consigliere. Steve, New Mexico, February 16th. One of the last true Hollywood icons. Should have won Oscars for The Great Santini and The Apostle as well. His little David Allen Coe song and Crazy Heart always gets to me. You're going to live forever now, Bob. R.I.P. the great Robert Duvall. Wondering? Los Angeles. 8 hours ago. I guess I'm now at an age when our acting heroes are leaving us. Duvall, Keaton, Hackman, Redford, and so many more. I remember when my parents' generation were experiencing it, but I don't think I really understood it till now.
Thank you for watching this AGNDD intelliReport, dear viewers. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell button to get notified during new uploads. And make sure to tune in next time. Stay safe and healthy. Cheers.